Hello, everyone. I am here to introduce how to install Windows 10 on your computer. Before you follow this instruction, we are going to install Windows 10 with USB drive, so you need to create the Windows Install USB first. Make sure to review the video about creating Windows Install USB from my channel. I am going to link the video to watch at the end of this video. Okay, let's start. When you install Windows 10 with USB drive, you need to set the BIOS settings first. BIOS is a kind of basic system to control OS like Windows and hardware on your computer. At this part, we are going to review some settings to install Windows 10 with USB drive. Chapter 1. Set the BIOS. When you like to enter BIOS mode, you need to find out the key on your keyboard. As your computer starts to turn on, press a couple of times the delete key on your keyboard until you enter the BIOS mode. If you miss the timing or press the wrong key, you may not see the BIOS screen. Mostly delete key is one of the common keys, but in some computers function 2, F2 key or function 12, F12, or function 10, F10 key may be the key. If there is not the key as above, one of the function keys will be the one, so try to find it out until you see the BIOS screen. If you succeed to enter the BIOS, you can see this kind of graphic screen. It depends on the computer, so if you see other graphic screens, that is no matter what. First, we need to set up the boot mode. When you see the part of the boot mode, there are options like Legacy, UEFI, or so on. Mostly the latest computers support UEFI, and this option will be more compatible to do the job, so if you can set UEFI, just set UEFI, and if you can't choose UEFI option, don't worry, you can go on this job with the legacy settings as well, but the legacy option sometimes requires the specific Windows Install USB. I will explain these things in another video when it comes to creating Windows Install USB. Second, after you set the boot mode, then you need to set boot order priorities. This is the process making the computer recognize your install USB first more than other devices like hard disk, network card, or so on. Now you are going to install Windows with the USB drive, so you need to set the USB as the first boot order priority than the others. This settings also look different in each computer, but just be sure you are trying to make the USB drive as the first priority more than others. Plus, I recommend to set the hard disk as the second boot order priority just in case. Third, save the setting and exit the BIOS mode. Mostly when you press ESC key on your keyboard, you can see the dialog to save the settings changed or not, and you can also get out the BIOS mode. Chapter 2. Install Windows. If you succeeded to set up the BIOS, you could have seen this screen, and now you can start the installation. First, if you have a product key to install Windows, put the key in the blank and press Next button, but if you don't have any product key, you can do that later, so press I don't have a product key button. Second, you may see what you can choose the version of the Windows. It depends on your install USB image. My install USB includes some different versions like Windows 10 Home, Education, or Professional versions. Professional version usually activates more functions, so if you can choose Professional version, I recommend you to try it. But for general users, Home Edition is enough to use. Third, accept the terms and conditions, and press the Next button. Fourth, choose the installation type between Upgrade, or the Custom option. I think most of people to want to remove the previous Windows and install the new Windows to delete some virus, some spyware, or reset the memory of the computer. In this case, Custom option is the right one, so try to select Custom option. Fifth, this step shows where you install the Windows. My computer has two physical drive, so you can see drive 0 and drive 1. This number means physical drive counts, and you can see 3 different partitions in the drive 1. For your understanding, drive is a physical unit, and partition is a logical unit. This means you can create some partitions in the drive, and Windows will be installed in the partition, so we need to create one partition at least to do the job. From this way, even if you have only one drive, you can make the computer recognize your drive as two different drives C and D, after you create the two partitions in the drive. Anyway, choose the partitions and press the delete menu from the screen for resetting the partition that you want to install the Windows. In this step, you may be in some troubles to delete the partitions in the drive. As you can see, I can't delete the drive 0 partition 1 with the menu. This problem comes from the previous Windows, or the drive is spoiled while it is being processed, so you may need to reset the drive manually. Here is how to reset the drive manually just in case. You can open the command dialog by pressing both Shift key and function 10, F10 on your keyboard. Type disk part and press Enter key. And then type list disk and press Enter key. You can see the physical disk list on your computer. And then select the disk number that you want to reset. If you choose the disk successfully, you can see the feedback sentence, disk number that you chose is now the selected disk. Then type clean and press Enter. Oh my god, here is the error to be processed even in manual, but don't be afraid. In this case, close the command dialog and restart the computer and do this manual process again. If you succeeded the manual process, you can finally see the feedback sentence after clean command, disk part succeeded in cleaning the disk, then close the command dialog, and go on the installation. I wish you wouldn't have any problems in the fifth step, but I bet many of people are stuck in the fifth step because usually manufacturers installed system partitions or recovery partitions in the disk. So that is not probably clean enough to do this even if you didn't start to use your computer yet, and be careful of doing this job because sometimes if you remove the manufacturer's partitions, they may not guarantee the customer service, so be careful of deleting the partition and reset the disk. But I think mostly service plan is already short, or people don't buy the extending care plan, so why don't you delete the partitions and you can use more space without the partitions as long as you can take care of your computer. Okay. Go to the next step. This is the sixth step, the last hard one. When you reset the all disks, you can assign your own partition now. I recommend to create two partitions in one disk because if you had some problems in your Windows system in partition 1 and you saved important data in partition 2, you can just reset the partition 1 and you don't have to worry losing your important data in the partition 2. This is very simple and important way to manage your computer, but most of people don't do this, and regret their mistakes after getting some serious conditions like virus or spyware, so I am showing to separate two partitions in the disk 0, but here is the way to save your disk space, or you can also just make the new partition with the new menu and go on the next step. When you follow this way, you can save some more space instead of letting the system create the partition itself by the way. Press the new menu and then you can put the size of the partition. I put the 10 megabytes and press apply button. 10 megabytes or 100 megabytes is no problem, and choose the partition assigned 10 megabytes, and then press extend button, and then put 102,400 megabytes. (1024 megabytes equals 1 gigabyte, so 102,410 megabytes is almost 100 gigabytes, and then press apply button. Honestly, I should have put 102,390 megabytes to make the partition as 100 gigabytes because I already assigned 10 megabytes when I created the partition at the first time, but I just ignored 10 megabytes. That is not a big deal, but if you don't want to lose any space, calculate the right size and assign the size when you extend the partition. And then you can see the dialog, and press OK button. See, now you can see disk 0 partition 1, 100 GB, and primary. If you see this all labels, it means the process is successful, and now I am going to make the second partition with the same way, put the 10 MB and extend the partition with the rest of the size. In this step, be careful to choose the 10 MB partition 2 when you extend the partition size. If you choose the wrong partition, another 10 MB partition will be created. Now you can see disk 0 partition 1, disk 0 partition 2. If you succeeded this process, you could have seen all the labels like the partition name, total size, free space, and partition type. If you have more than 2 different partitions like mine, just let it be without the partition assignment in the disk 1. I mean, you can just see the unallocated space in disk 1. We will finish the partitioning work after completing Windows installation. In this step, you need 1 unallocated space at least. I mean, if you have only 1 disk, and want to create 2 partitions in the disk, just create partition 1 and leave the rest space unallocated. I mean, do not create partition 2 at this step. Just create partition 1 and go to the next step. Choose the right partition that you want to install Windows? If so, then press Next button. There will be a dialog and press OK. Now you just wait until the install process is complete. Your computer will be restarted automatically and kept going on itself, but if you see this installation screen again, remove the USB drive, and let the computer restart again. Now your computer can start without USB drive and it will be complete automatically. You are finally almost done. If you see this screen, now you are on the process to set user and system settings in Windows. After this, it will be all done. Choose the region. Then choose keyboard layout. Most of people may not need to add the second keyboard layout. I just chose the skip menu. If you can connect the wireless LAN, Wi-Fi, you can set up in this step, but if not, you can skip the step right now. I just chose the skip menu. You can set up the name as what you want, and then press the next menu. If you want to set up the password, put the password and press the next menu, but if you don't want to set up the password right now, just let the blank and press the next menu. I don't like to set any password now and just press the next menu. I also don't want to use Cortana, voice commander, so I just chose no menu because I know this application uses more resources from my computer, and this will make the computer slower. Setting the privacy is the final step. I don't want to share my personal information on my computer, so I am going to turn off all settings, and press Accept menu. Oh yeah, now you can see Windows screen. Good job guys. Okay. If you have any questions about the video, please leave the comment. Thank you for watching the video and see you next time. Bye bye.